our next presenter. Our next presenter, of course, is Julie Rowe. And Julie has had, as you know, some amazing experiences in her short life, experiences that have been very physically challenging for her, have been very painful, and she has come back to be able to help us understand that there really is life after death, number one, and number two, she has had a chance to peek behind the curtain, and she was shown this as a very sacred blessing that she has been able to share with her family, and now she's been authorized to share it with us. And the thing that's exciting is she has the ability to help us understand that there are some really key things that we need to be paying attention to right now in our lives. And tonight she's going to share with us an insight or a set of insights that will help us understand that we really do need to be physically in shape and have strength in our mind and in our body, and emotionally to be able to get through the challenges that are going to be coming. And that has to do with what we put into our body. That has to do with how we treat our body and how much we move or don't move, or exercise, if you will. And I think you're going to find that the information that she shares will be both very motivating and inspiring, and I believe with passion that it will change your life, it will change your family, and you are in the right place at the right time. Miss Julie, we'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Ray. It's kind of difficult for me to know where to begin because I have so many emotions surrounding this topic. I'll just say kind of up front to forgive me for my emotion that I might show or you might hear in my voice. And because this is a topic that is dear to my heart for many reasons. It's an area that I have struggled with for a long time because of the health issues that I have. When I had my experience in 2004, it was September 28th and 29th of 2004. I'd had some health issues prior to that, but that was when things got very, very difficult, and I passed through the other side for a little bit. And as many of you know, I was shown some things, past, present, and future. I want to focus on the physical side of our personal fitness, and that includes some of what we put into our body, specifically how well we are adhering to the word of wisdom, as well as any types of addictions that we have, food or otherwise. I think that often those of us that are aware of the word of wisdom, we know and are quite familiar with the things that it counsels us not to partake of, but we don't necessarily always take into account of those things that we are supposed to be partaking of. This is an area that I need improvement in. I want to make it very clear that in no way do I hold myself above anyone else in this area. In fact, this is one of my greatest areas of weakness when it comes to making sure that I put healthy food into my body, or that I'm eating meals when I need to be eating meals. Meaning I'm one of those people that I don't overeat, but sometimes I actually forget to eat. I will get up in the morning and get so busy doing what I need to get done that before I know it, it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I realize not only did I not have breakfast, but I didn't have lunch. And then I'm so hungry that I just want to kind of scarf down anything that I can find right away. And that's, you would think that I would know better because I have the health issues that I do, and one of the things I deal with is low blood sugar at times. And I try really hard not to do that, but I get distracted, and that is one of the greatest tools of the adversary. He will use distraction, and he will use distraction with us in respect to our physical fitness, as far as the food and other things that we put into our body, as well as how we just treat our body in general. And so, as we talk about this, I don't want to specifically pinpoint different parts of the doctrine of the word of wisdom, and there's a lot that encompasses that. The Spirit is what needs to teach us about where we are on obeying the word of wisdom in the Doctrine and Covenants, section 89. Just kind of encourage us to go back and read through that again and ponder and pray about that and ask the Lord how and where we can change and improve to help us live happier, healthier lives, and also to help us prepare. And then touching on the importance of that we have different parts of what make up our physical body or our bodies. And just a few of those included in that are our spiritual or ethereal body, our cosmic body, our physical body, and our auric body. And there's a lot more to it than that when you're talking about the spirit and the soul and then the physical aspects that we experience. But they're all tied together, and they affect each other very, very closely. And I know without a doubt that when we're off in a certain area, it affects us. So when we're spiritually not where we need to be, it affects our physical body. When our physical body is not where it needs to be, it affects our spiritual body. And all of those things tied together. You know, it's probably an easy thing to just pinpoint something like the need for us to lose weight. Weight gain is kind of a plague that's occurred in the United States, and there's a lot of reasons for that. What we are ingesting into our bodies, as well as our lack of physical fitness, and living a sedentary lifestyle, many of us sitting at desks and working in office jobs and not being as active as maybe some of those in generations past who would have done more hard labor working on farms and things like that. And so we're finding in our society that we're more sedentary. We've got a lot of technology, which can be really wonderful, but it can also create some problems for us with addictions, to television, the computer, our phones, video games, all kinds of devices that we have, which are far good, but that can also be to our detriment if we don't keep them in balance. And if we're not out doing what we need to do to take care of our mind, body, and spirit. And this is a tough one for us because I've dealt with health issues clear back from my late 20s and really at the age of 31 when I had my NDE was kind of the tipping point, and I've really struggled with my health since then. I actively work at trying to have good health, and yet there are still areas that I struggle in. And I've been one of those people that in the last 10 years or so has gone up and down in my weight. I have had a lot of stress the last few years with actually 3 different moves across the different parts of the country in the last year and a half. And then, you know, job changes for both my husband and I, as well as just the regular everyday stresses. And then I've been more sedentary because I've written 2 books this year. So I've done a lot of sitting at the computer, and it's shown up with my weight gain. But I have to admit that it's also because I've fallen into some bad habits that are not a part of what I regularly, I guess, have made a part of my routine in years past. It does not take much for us to gain weight if we're being sedentary and we're eating out a lot or eating especially fast food or other things. And I fall into that trap when I've been on the road traveling or moving and then just busy with things where I get going throughout my day and I realize, you know, I've got to get something, my blood sugar's dropping, and I'll just hurry and grab something really fast that may not be the best choice for me. Whereas if I can get back to my routines that I've had in years past where I'm doing some meal planning and I'm more organized in my daily activities and what I want to feed myself as well as my family. So there's that aspect that I confess that I need to work on. And also the physical part. I And this is different for each person because we have health issues, many of us, that prevent certain types of physical fitness. And then there are people that have health issues because they have not taken time to do the necessary physical fitness. So I want to be sensitive to those that have health issues that prevent them or limit them in the type of fitness that they can do. And I want to specifically emphasize that this is, I'm going to issue a challenge, but this is not a challenge for us to go out and become these incredibly fit individuals in peak performance. This is a challenge, of course, as a New Year's resolution that I'm going to issue to each one of you and to myself, that we get to a healthy weight where possible. You know, I have health issues that affect that. I have behavior issues that affect that. And I have medication that have side effects to, you know, of gaining weight. So there are a lot of things that I deal with that maybe somebody else doesn't deal with. And there are some people that deal with much more difficult challenges than what I deal with. So this is an individual challenge. None of us can judge another person, and we don't walk in anyone else's shoes. And so as I issue this challenge that we go forward for the year 2015 and on, I do so with the intent that we can help motivate each other from a place of faith and not out of any kind of, I was going to say self-love, but really self-loathing or from a vanity standpoint or through the eyes of the world, but that we do so that we can be as healthy as we can be, whatever that may be given our circumstance. Because what I know is that it's not going to be long, and I don't have exact dates, and even if I did, I have an idea, but if I did, I still wouldn't say what they are, but the Lord hasn't given me exact dates. I just know that time is short, and that obviously from the title of my second book, The Time Is Now, that when the Lord says the time is now to prepare, then the time is now. And so as we look at this new year, coming from a place of wanting to be healthy and getting in shape, and that means different things for different people, getting in shape, is different than coming from a place of I want to look a certain way, or even I want to feel a certain way. Yes, we want to feel a certain way, and that is that we want to feel healthy. Some of us, it's still going to be a challenge because there are things that are out of our control. If we have, you know, having gone through some paralysis and other things, I want to be sensitive to those that struggle with that, or any kind of atrophy, or those that are in wheelchairs, or have walkers, or canes, or any kind of other physical limitation, or a mental, emotional, or spiritual limitation, because again, they're all tied together. But recognizing that the Lord has a plan for each one of us, and He's aware of us individually, and that as we have faith and we take our concerns to the Lord and we pour out our heart to Him and we ask Father in heaven, what can I do to improve my health so that I can be better prepared, and ask Him for help in that, I have experienced great miracles over the years, and in many walks of my life, and in many areas of my life. But if we're talking just physical miracles, I have had so many healing miracles, I can't even begin to tell you how many there have been, because I don't count them, because there are so many. They happen on a daily basis. And the Lord has brought people into my life when I've needed them most to help teach me and guide me and bless me on this journey that I am on, and that we're each on. We have the ability to go to the Lord. He wants us to go to Him and ask Him, what can I do to improve? What can I do to be better? But then realizing that if we're going to ask that question, we need to be ready to act, because when the Lord gives us knowledge, we're then held accountable. And I know I'm accountable for the knowledge He's given me. And then there's the aspect of coming from a place of faith and not fear, meaning I don't want to go and try to lose the weight that I need to lose and try to improve my health because I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to make it and survive. I already know that the Lord's told me that I'm in for the long haul and that I will be living a long life. but I would sure like to live it with the least amount of pain possible. And much of what I do and the decisions I make on a daily basis do and will affect my level of comfort and my own personal as well as I guess general influence that I can have on me and my own comfort and safety and health and security, as well as that of my children and my other loved ones and those whom I come in contact with in the next several years. And we are accountable to our Father in heaven, to our Savior, who through the atonement made it possible for our bodies to be renewed and strengthened and healed in all ways, in every way, on every level, through every cell of our body. We've been promised this healing, and that healing comes out of faith, but faith is an action word, and faith without works is dead. And so when I look at this, I look at the things that I've been shown, and of course I haven't been shown everything, but I've been shown a fair amount to know that we have some very, very difficult times coming, and some times that are going to tax us spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically in ways that we can't even imagine, that even though I've been given glimpses, I know I can't even imagine really how difficult it's going to be, but I have a slight idea, and I have a feeling for some of the intensity that we're going to experience. And I have seen there are many, many people that struggle, I want to say needlessly, although no struggle is needless, but maybe that they will struggle in ways that they would not otherwise have to struggle had they been better prepared on every level. And since we're talking specifically about physical preparedness, and we're talking about fitness, for instance, let's take the first part. Now, not everyone's going to have to hike into a camp, but I know that I will, and then I know at some point in time I'm going to have to walk and hike with a backpack for quite a distance, at least once, if not several times. Aside from the day-to-day hard work of just surviving in a tent city, for example, or otherwise without the modern conveniences that we're used to, that'll be more physically taxing on our bodies than what we currently experience. So there's that aspect, and then there's one where I've been shown several scenes of people collapsing due to heat exhaustion or just being worn out from something that could be something as simple as needing to cut and gather and carry firewood or carry water or putting up tents or other things, you know, some of the physical aspects of surviving in a real survival situation. And then there's the aspect that I've seen of the first winter, and then, you know, the second winter, and as time goes on. But that first winter that I've seen, as we go into it with, in many cases, no utilities or very limited utilities when we're talking about running water or heat, and of course, like in the summer times with air conditioning not being used to some of the extreme heats that some people experience. But really, I have very clear visuals of seeing people who are not prepared physically with the items that they need as far as clothing and other things, but also from a mental, emotional, and spiritual standpoint, not having prepared their bodies physically. They literally do not survive. Many people just physically collapse. Some of them, as it talks about in the scriptures, men's hearts fail them, and there's many reasons for that. Some of that's due to fear, and some of it's due to physical conditions that are that surpass their abilities. And then, of course, there's the spiritual side of that your hearts fail them for fear of what's going on around. But from the physical standpoint of needing to be in a condition where, at least for me and my family, knowing that if need be, if I have to sleep on the hard ground, because I don't know if I'm going to get to sleep on my cot or if I'm going to get to sleep on something more comfortable than just the hard ground. But I need to be prepared for that, and perhaps if I have something more comfortable and there's someone else that doesn't, then, you know, be in good enough condition that I can help somebody else who's not. But we were taught to be self-reliant as much as possible, and that includes our physical well-being. And so going back to surviving that first winter, people that literally freeze to death, and some because they don't have warm clothing or warm sleeping bags and those kinds of things, and sometimes because they just kind of have, they lose the will to live, because spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, they're not up for it. And obviously, ultimately, you know, the Lord's plan is the Lord's plan, and we will survive if we're meant to survive, although we have agency, and there's some choice and accountability there. And I don't understand how it all works. I haven't been shown that or taught that specifically as to how our agency can or can't or will or won't affect or determine some of the future results of what goes on in our societies. But I do know that we have choice and accountability every day, and that's an area when we're talking about physical fitness that I need to work on. So I issue that challenge that going forward into the new year, that we do have a New Year's resolution, but that it's, again, not done out of fear or vanity or any other reason that has to do with the world, but simply to be healthy so that we can be in a place to do what we need to do to serve the Lord, to serve our families and other loved ones, and so that we can be as self-reliant as possible. And the first thing that comes to my mind is the importance of, you know, we're not even talking about hardcore working out here. If people can do that, that's terrific. And again, that's different for everybody, given your finances, given your time, your locations, your health situations, and the weather, and there are so many factors. So I'm not going to go into detail as to, I mean, it's so individual. It would be wrong of me to try to tell people what they need to do to get in shape. But I will tell you what I've been counseled to do, and that is that I have been taught and shown that I need to be walking regularly and hiking with my family, and wherever possible and as often as possible with backpacks, and to not be afraid to get out there and do some hard work and some harder physical work to really push myself in some of those areas. And if our lifestyle is not of such that we have, you know, if we're in an apartment in the city and we don't have a garden or a yard or another place where we, of our own accord, can go and do manual labor, then there are always places that we can do volunteer work to help other people and do that hard work and that manual labor, and it actually will benefit us as well. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Ray, but those are kind of my thoughts for now.
Those are awesome, and really, really great insights, and thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Let me just mention one thing that I feel very passionate about. I'm going to share some thoughts, of course, on this a little later on in the webinar, but our children and our grandchildren are very dependent on us. And if we are suffering from ill health because of lack of exercise and the choices that we make with what we put into our body, and we don't make it, who is going to take care of our sweet children and our grandchildren?
Right.
Any comments on that?
Yes. I know firsthand what it's like to have children who experience a mom that has dealt with illness. My oldest was 5, my second son was 3, and my daughter was 8.5 months old when I was hospitalized. And for the most part, you know, they don't remember anything different than what than what I experience or have experienced. And so it's just a part of their life. However, I have always made a conscious effort to get up and get out of bed whenever and however I can, even on those days when my arthritis is hurting so terribly. I do have those days where I just have to kind of take it easy. And so pacing ourselves is very important, not running faster than we have strength. Again, that's an area that the Lord has counseled me continually that I need to work on. Making sure that we're being active, but not doing those things and not busying ourselves with things that ultimately really don't matter. And sometimes we can become too busy doing good things, and it's almost a way, again, a distraction technique the adversary uses, or some of us, we get busy. Maybe we feel like we have to be busy to feel good about ourselves, or we get busy because we have a hard time saying no, or whatever reason. There's so many different reasons that we're just busy. But learning to get that balance, I have been counseled again and again about having balance in my life in all areas. And when I think about this, I think about just some of the mother's guilt that I've had for raising children and having them and have to endure having a sick mom, or my husband, and seeing what that's done. It has brought strength to them, and it's part of the plan the Lord has for them. But from the mom standpoint, it's a very it's a very hard thing, because we never want to see our children or any of our loved ones experience any kind of pain, although we know that that's part of the Lord's plan for us and part of our learning. But what I will say is that I was shown that there are many, many adults who do not make it, and they do leave orphaned children. And then those that are left, we are called upon to take care of those children. And so, you know, again, I don't want to say that out of fear. We don't want to be afraid that we're going to be sick and we're going to leave our kids or our grandchildren. We need to have faith. But we need to recognize that until our dying day, our very last breath is taken, we were designed by the Lord to be fighters and survivors, and that we are not quitters. And that means that we take an active stance in taking care of our bodies, which are our temples, and that we have stewardship over them. We're supposed to take care of them to the best of our ability. And where we have limitations, for whatever reason, then we leave that to the Lord. And we trust in Him and we trust in His plan. But we have to do all that we can do, and then His grace is sufficient for us.
Excellent teaching. Thank you so much, Ms. Julie, for the wonderful warning and for the great insight and for helping us understand that this is the year we need to set the New Year's resolution to get in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And
and I want to, just for my own accountability, I was going to say it's always good to have an accountability partner. So I am now going to issue that challenge again, that we do this. We set our goals for ourselves and for our loved ones. We don't set goals for them, but where we can, we include them in our goals. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to issue that challenge to myself as well, and to you, Ray. And you hold me accountable when we talk here and there. Feel free to check up on me and see if I've been eating correctly and if I've been doing my walking and hiking and whatever else I need to do to get myself in gear. So.
Perfect. Okay, and you hold me accountable too. I will go over that a little later on in the call of where I'm at and where I've been, and I'm in much better shape than I've been in a long time, but I am planning on being in excellent physical condition
right.
Because I want to help my children and my grandchildren, and of course my great wife and a wonderful family get through the times
right.
that are coming.
Well, and I feel the need to kind of say, let's not beat ourselves up either when we fall short, because we will. And if it comes to addictions of any kind, there is something called food addiction. Some of us can be emotional eaters and other things, because of the chemicals that are in foods and a lot of the additives and things that they put in foods now. So recognize that. Don't beat ourselves up. and each day is a new day. That's what the atonement is all about. We can start over. And if at 10 in the morning I've blown it, or I feel like I've blown it because I didn't do my workout yet and I'm tempted to eat something that I shouldn't, that's okay. It's never too late to start again. But there will come a time when we will find ourselves in a situation where what we have reaped, we will sow.
Profound information. Thank you so much, Julie, and excellent job.
Thank you.